Most older men think they know exactly what women want. They assume experience, stability, or confidence is enough to keep her hooked. But here's the harsh truth. Sometimes it's not what you do right. It's what you do wrong that kills attraction instantly. Younger women are sharper than you think. They notice the little things you don't even realize you're doing. And those little things? They quietly kill her desire without you ever knowing. She won't always tell you directly, because women rarely announce turn-offs. Instead, she'll just pull back, lose interest, and eventually vanish. What you thought was attraction suddenly dies out, leaving you confused and wondering what went wrong. Today, I'm going to expose the hidden turn-offs older men make, the ones younger women always notice but never say out loud. Once you understand these, you'll stop sabotaging yourself, and you'll finally know how to keep her attraction alive. 1. Mentor mode. When your wisdom feels like father energy. A lot of older men think the fastest way to impress a younger woman is to teach, correct, and guide her. You call it experience. She feels it as control. Nothing drains attraction faster than a man who turns a conversation into a classroom and himself into the lecturer. You start telling her what books to read, how her career should go, why her friends are dragging her down, how to optimize her morning routine. Meanwhile, she didn't ask. It's not that wisdom is a turn-off. It's that unsolicited direction signals a power imbalance that kills polarity. Instead of being a man she flirts with, you become the father figure she resists. Here's the psychology. Attraction needs mystery, play, and emotional oxygen. Mentor mode squeezes all of that out. When you over-explain, you're saying, "I'm above you. Let me fix you." Younger women clock the microsignals. The head tilt, the "let me show you" tone, the way you correct small details she didn't even care about. She may smile politely, but she's emotionally closing the door. Why? Because feminine energy opens in the presence of attuned leadership, not constant correction. Leadership is felt, calm presence, grounded decisiveness, not a TED talk about her life. The mistake most men make is thinking value equals information. It doesn't. Value equals sensation, how she feels around you. If your presence creates pressure, she retreats. If your presence creates lightness, tension, and freedom to be playful, she leans in. You don't build chemistry by proving how much you know. You build chemistry by showing you see her without needing to manage her. What to do instead? Shift from instruction to invitation. Trade. Here's what you should do for curious. What's pulling you there? Replace lectures with stories. Stories carry your experience without forcing it down her throat. Offer options, not orders. There are a couple ways to approach that. Want to hear how I'd think about it, or are you just venting? That sentence alone signals emotional intelligence and gives her agency, catnip to attraction. Also, calibrate your ratio, 80% presence, 20% perspective. Presence is eye contact, relaxed posture, letting silence breathe, letting her finish thoughts without jumping in to fix them. Perspective is concise, earned, and asked for. If she explicitly asks, give a clean take, short, actionable, no preaching. Then drop it. Don't keep circling back to check whether she implemented your advice. That's parental energy again. Bottom line, you're not her father, coach, or boss. Be the man with a spine and a smile, the one who can hold space, flirt, tease, and share a sharp insight only when invited. Do that, and your wisdom becomes magnetic, not suffocating. 2. Acting like comfort is enough. Here's where a lot of older men get blindsided. They think stability, safety, and comfort are the ultimate keys to keeping a younger woman hooked. And sure, those things matter, but only after attraction is alive. If you walk in thinking comfort alone will make her obsessed, you're already losing. Why? because comfort without excitement feels like friendship. And women don't fantasize about their safe buddy. They crave the man who can make them feel both secure and electrified. Miss one, and you slide straight into the zone no man wants to be in. The invisible provider or the nice older guy she respects but doesn't desire. The psychology here is simple. Attraction thrives on tension and polarity. Comfort removes tension. Think about it. If she always knows what you'll say, if every date feels predictable, if your conversations feel like casual small talk, her brain stops firing dopamine. Younger women especially are wired to seek stimulation. They want to feel that rush, that edge, that spark of unpredictability. If you're nothing but stable, she feels safe, yes, but she's also bored. And boredom is fatal. This is why so many men get confused. They say, "But I treat her well, I'm kind, I provide, I never cause drama." That's the exact trap. You've built a padded cage around the dynamic. So soft she never feels a reason to chase, to wonder, to invest. What she secretly craves is a man who can anchor her with strength while still pulling her into the unknown. She wants to know you're solid, but she also wants to feel the charge of not having you completely figured out. So how do you fix this? First, stop thinking being too safe is impressive. It's not. Safety is the baseline. Chemistry is the difference maker. Inject playfulness into your interactions. Tease her lightly. Create inside jokes. Disrupt patterns instead of following them religiously. If you always call at 7, skip a night. If every date is dinner and a movie, surprise her with something new. Rock climbing, salsa, a last-minute road trip. Predictability kills polarity. Controlled spontaneity keeps it alive. Second, master the balance of comfort and challenge. She should feel like you're her anchor, but also like she can't fully pin you down. That's what makes her lean in. The moment she knows every move you'll make, the mystery evaporates. When there's no mystery, there's no obsession. The bottom line? Comfort is good, but comfort without fire equals friendship. And friendship is not why she's drawn to you. She wants to feel safe in your arms, yes, but she also wants the thrill of being pulled out of her head and into the moment. Be the man who gives her both. That's what keeps her addicted. 3. Looking older than you really are. Here's a brutal truth most men don't want to face. Women don't just notice your words or your confidence, they notice how you present yourself. And one of the biggest silent turnoffs is when an older man looks like he's given up on his appearance. Wrinkled shirts, sloppy grooming, outdated style, or carrying extra weight you clearly don't care to fix. It all screams one message: stagnation. And nothing kills attraction faster than a man who looks like he's stopped trying. Younger women don't expect you to look 25. They expect you to look like a man who values himself enough to stay sharp. Here's the psychology behind it. Women are wired to respond to signals of vitality and status. That doesn't mean you need six-pack abs or designer suits. It means you need to radiate health, discipline, and presence. When a man looks like he's letting himself decay, it subconsciously tells her, "This guy can't even lead himself, so how could he lead me?" Attraction is emotional first, but it's triggered by visuals too. If she sees sloppy grooming or bad posture, her instincts register weakness before her brain has a chance to rationalize. The mistake older men make is thinking their personality can override everything else. It can't. Your looks don't have to compete with younger men. They have to match your masculine frame. That means dressing like you respect yourself, grooming like you're still in the game, and carrying yourself like a man who hasn't surrendered to age. A clean haircut, fitted clothes, shoes that aren't 10 years out of date, and a body that shows you still train. These are not extras. These are essentials. Here's where it gets powerful. When you invest in your appearance, it's not just about looking good for her. It's about the energy shift inside you. You walk taller, you feel sharper, your confidence rises, And women feel that energy before they even process what you're wearing. Younger women especially are hypersensitive to energy. If you look and act like a man who's still dangerous, in control of himself, disciplined and vibrant, they can't help but feel the pull. So what's the fix? Keep it simple. Build a wardrobe of well-fitted basics, dark jeans, crisp shirts, tailored jackets. Keep your grooming on point. Fresh haircut, trimmed beard, clean nails. Take care of your body. Train regularly. Eat like you care about longevity. You don't need to look like a model. You need to look like a man who gives a damn. Bottom line, looking older than you really are isn't about age, it's about effort. Women notice when you've stopped trying, and nothing is more attractive than a man who refuses to let himself fade. Show her you're still in the fight, and she'll feel that primal spark every time she sees you. 4. Talking too much about the past. One of the fastest ways older men kill attraction with younger women is by living in their memories instead of the present. You know the type. Every conversation circles back to back in my day, when I was your age, or endless stories about ex-girlfriends, college glory, or how things were so much better before. At first, she might smile and nod, but deep down, she's tuning out. Why? Because obsession isn't built on nostalgia. It's built on excitement about the now and curiosity about the future. If all you give her are reruns of your past, she stops imagining herself in your story. Here's the psychology. When you talk too much about the past, it signals you're stuck. And stuck energy is a massive turnoff. Younger women are wired to respond to momentum. They're attracted to men who are still building, still chasing, still alive with ambition. If your words suggest that the best part of your life already happened, you've basically told her she has nothing to look forward to with you. Attraction dies not because of your age, but because of your frame. A man living forward is magnetic. A man living backward feels heavy. The mistake most men make here is subtle. They think sharing past achievements shows value. They think, if she knows I used to be successful, athletic, or wild, she'll respect me more. Wrong. Respect is built in the now. She doesn't want to date the man you were 10 years ago. She wants to feel turned on by the man sitting in front of her today. If your stories dominate the conversation, she feels like a spectator in someone else's history instead of a partner in a new adventure. So, how do you fix it? First, stop using the past as a crutch. Share stories only when they're relevant, and tell them with a quick punch, not a long lecture. The secret is to flip the frame. Instead of, I used to do this, shift to, I'm exploring this now, or here's what I'm aiming for next. That subtle difference transforms the vibe from nostalgic to inspiring. Talk about the present projects you're working on, the places you want to travel, the goals that still excite you. Younger women notice ambition. It reassures them that you're still alive, still hungry, still dangerous. And here's the kicker. When you stop drowning her in yesterday's stories and start anchoring the conversation in today, her imagination takes over. She begins to picture herself inside your current journey. She sees possibility, not baggage. And possibility is the oxygen of obsession. Bottom line, your past shaped you, but it shouldn't define you in her eyes. If you want her glued to your energy, stop dragging her into memory lane and start pulling her into the fire of what you're doing now. 5. Overcompensating with money or status. Here's one of the most common hidden turnoffs. When an older man thinks the only way to attract a younger woman is by flashing his wallet, bragging about his career, or constantly reminding her of what he's achieved. On the surface, you might think status impresses her. And yes, success can get her attention. But when you shove it in her face, it doesn't read as confidence. It reads as insecurity. Women, especially younger ones, are masters at detecting when a man is using money or achievements to cover up a lack of presence. And once she feels that, the attraction evaporates. The psychology is simple. True confidence is silent. A man who knows his worth doesn't need to announce it every 5 minutes. When you overcompensate with money, you're essentially saying, I don't believe I'm enough without this. And that admission kills polarity. Younger women don't just want security, they want to feel desire. If she senses you're trying to buy her interest, she may take the gifts, but she won't give you the emotional investment you're craving. The mistake many older men make is confusing attention with attraction. Sure, she might notice the expensive watch, the luxury car, the high-end restaurant, but those things create curiosity, not obsession. Obsession comes from how she feels around you. If your presence isn't magnetic on its own, the material stuff only highlights the gap. She starts to think, if he really had it, he wouldn't need to try this hard. And once that thought creeps in, she mentally files you under provider, not lover. So what's the fix? It's not about hiding your success. It's about owning it without flaunting it. Let your lifestyle speak quietly in the background, not loudly in every sentence. If you drive a nice car, don't announce it. Just pull up. If you've built an impressive career, let it slip casually in a story rather than making it the headline. The less you try to prove, the more she feels you already have it. And that paradox is what makes her lean in. Here's where it gets powerful. Redirect your energy from impressing with things to impressing with presence. Make her laugh. Challenge her playfully. Hold unshaken eye contact. Let her feel your grounded calm, your self-control, your masculine edge. Those are the currencies that build obsession, because they can't be bought. They can only be earned through who you are. Bottom line, money and status are amplifiers, not foundations. If you lean on them as your main weapon, you'll attract users, not lovers. But if you let them exist quietly while leading with confidence and energy, younger women won't just notice you, they'll crave you. 6. Clinging to control instead of flow. Here's another hidden turnoff. Most older men don't realize they're guilty of the need to control every little thing. You want to pick the restaurant, plan the date down to the minute, order for her, decide the pace of the evening, and even steer the conversation so it always feels safe. On paper, you think this makes you look like a strong leader. But in reality, it often comes across as rigidity. And rigidity is the death of attraction. Younger women don't want to feel trapped in your system. They want to feel carried by your energy. There's a huge difference between leading with confidence and choking the moment with control. The psychology is straightforward. Attraction lives in tension and flow. When you control everything, you cut off the oxygen of spontaneity. She starts to feel like she's on a schedule instead of an adventure. That kills curiosity, and without curiosity, obsession can't grow. What she really wants is to feel like you're solid enough to take the lead, but flexible enough to let things unfold naturally. If she feels like she can't breathe around you because every moment is pre-scripted, she'll quietly pull back. The mistake older men make is confusing leadership with dominance. Leadership is presence. It's the way you hold space, make decisions calmly, and adapt smoothly. Dominance without awareness is just ego, and it pushes her away. Think about it. If you can't relax, how can she? If you're gripping the wheel too tightly, she doesn't feel safe. She feels suffocated. And suffocation never equals attraction. So what's the fix? It's about striking the balance between structure and flow. Yes, plan the date, but leave room for detours. Guide the conversation, but let her surprises land. If she wants to stay longer, don't shut it down because you had a plan. If she suggests something spontaneous, roll with it. That adaptability doesn't make you weak. It makes you magnetic. It shows her you're in control of yourself, not just the situation. Here's where the magic happens. When she feels you leading without controlling, she relaxes. Her feminine energy opens up. She laughs more. She leans in closer. She starts to trust not just your choices, but your presence. And that trust is the soil where obsession grows. Because now, she's not just enjoying the plan, she's enjoying the man. Bottom line, control looks like strength on the surface, but underneath, it signals fear. Flow looks like confidence, because it shows you're not afraid to let things happen. Younger women feel the difference instantly. Lead with presence, allow space for spontaneity, and you'll create a dynamic she can't resist. 7. Projecting bitterness toward youth. Here's a subtle but devastating mistake many older men make without realizing it. Letting bitterness about age slip into their words, tone, or attitude. Maybe you joke about kids these days being lazy. Maybe you criticize modern dating or roll your eyes at social media. Maybe you make comments that sound like you're above it all, but underneath, it's just frustration that the world has changed. You think you're being witty or experienced. But to a younger woman, it doesn't come across as wisdom. It comes across as resentment. And resentment is poison to attraction. The psychology here is simple. Women are pulled toward energy that feels expansive, forward-moving, alive. Bitterness signals the opposite. It tells her you're looking backward, that you feel excluded, that you're low-key competing with the younger men she interacts with. That energy makes her feel like being with you is a compromise, not a win. And the moment she senses she has to manage your insecurity about age, she checks out emotionally. She's not with you to babysit your ego. She's with you because she wants to feel your masculine edge. The mistake older men make is subtle. They think sarcasm about age makes them relatable. They think reminding her of the good old days shows character. But in reality, every bitter remark chips away at her desire. Attraction is emotional, and when your energy communicates disappointment or envy, it triggers her instincts to pull away. She doesn't feel curiosity, she feels tension, the bad kind. So how do you fix this? Drop the bitterness and own your age with pride. Younger women are not turned on by men who wish they were 25 again. They're turned on by men who are unapologetically grounded in who they are now. A man who embraces his maturity without needing to bash youth sends a powerful signal. Security. It says, I know exactly where I am in life, and I like it. That vibe is intoxicating because it makes her feel like she's stepping into a man's world, not dragging him out of regret. Flip the frame. Instead of mocking her generation, show curiosity. Instead of rolling your eyes at her music, let her teach you a track. Instead of complaining about social media, joke about how she's got to keep you updated. This creates playful contrast instead of bitter divide. And contrast builds chemistry. Bottom line, bitterness reveals insecurity. Confidence reveals acceptance. If you carry yourself like a man who resents youth, you'll always feel old to her. But if you carry yourself like a man who embraces his edge, his presence, his maturity, she won't compare you to younger men. She'll crave you because you're something they can't be. Now you see the truth most older men never recognize. Attraction isn't lost because of age. It's lost because of the silent turn-offs you don't even realize you're broadcasting. Acting like a mentor instead of a lover, thinking comfort alone is enough, letting your appearance slip, living in the past, overcompensating with money, clinging to control, or projecting bitterness. Each one chips away at her desire until she sees you as safe but forgettable. And safe without excitement never creates obsession. Here's the reality. Younger women don't want perfection. They don't expect you to be 20 again. What they want is a man who owns his edge, who carries his maturity with confidence, who doesn't chase or over-explain, who makes them feel secure yet still alive with curiosity. If you strip away these hidden turn-offs, you stop sabotaging yourself. You stop giving her reasons to mentally check out. Instead, you become the man who feels rare, the man who stands out from the crowd of older guys who don't get it. Attraction is not about your age, it's about your energy. Handle these mistakes and you'll discover something powerful. Age isn't your weakness, it's your weapon.